Simran. So very quick, I won't be taking too much of time because I believe we have a wonderful lineup of panelists. A very quick introduction on the panel. I think it's all about hotel as well as hospitality. So everything you wanted to sort of focus in terms of how the industry is going, this is the topic to be. The moderator for today is Joerg Esser. So I won't be actually doing too much of deep dive in terms of what he is, but I was just stalking his Twitter bio, and it says something really interesting. Joerg believes in the power of simplicity. So without further ado, Joerg, please can you come on the stage?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind introduction and also for reminding us of simplicity. So I try to keep it simple. And thank you very much. I'm very pleased, very delighted to be on this panel because I just think it's an amazing topic. Travel distribution, I guess it's fair to say, is quite a turbulent market, and I had the chance to experience this market from different angles. I held various executive roles within the Thomas Cook Group. I've been working with Expedia, Booking.com, and Webjet on strategic partnerships, designing them and implementing them, and I'm now supporting various companies in staying relevant. So I'm really looking forward to a great lineup of panelist colleagues and a great discussion.
Thank you so much, Joerg. Next up is actually, two gentlemen who are very humble enough to say, friends from the hospitality industry, but I think the two gentlemen together kind of define the B2B travel space in India. Welcome on stage Ankush and Karan together. If you can kindly take the stage. They're actually powerhouses in themselves. So I really, I think we can probably have a session in terms of how to introduce them. So Ankush, if you'd like to have a quick self-introduction, I'll just give you the mic here.
Thanks, Daksh, and good afternoon, everyone. So today at TBO, I'm the co-founder, and we run the largest B2B travel platform in the country. We service almost 26,000 agents in India and another 20,000 agents in 90 countries across the 6 continents. So that's what our core strength is, and rest I'll talk once the panel kicks off. Thank you.
My name's Karan Anand. I work for Cox & Kings. We got established in 1758. Speak more as we go along.
Thank you so much, Karan. Last but not the least, we have Joseph, who actually represents a truly multicultural panel. Joseph, you are from Singapore, and you're actually solving the problems of boutique hotels, helping them to drive more revenue. Joseph, you can take the mic and introduce yourself.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Joseph. I'm coming from Yearth in Singapore, and we help hotel to digitize your 9-room products so that you can have a new revenue stream, and as well as we enhance your guest experience by the guest journey engagement automation. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for this quick introduction. I mean, as we mentioned before, I mean, it's fair to say travel distribution is quite a turbulent space. We had on one of the previous panels the statement on, I think the number was 47 visits, different websites or places by customers before they book. So whether that's 37 or 50 or 60, depending on the survey, I assume, it's certainly a very fragmented experience still for the traveler, and it's certainly a very fragmented market with lots of players. But so much turbulence and such a variety of players usually also comes along with opportunities. So I would like to kick it off with a view on and your take on what are the opportunities in this market, and maybe specifically also as we are looking at India, maybe Karan, if I may start with you, what's your view on this?
Well, the opportunities are immense, the risks are huge, but one must really see, let me initially talk about outbound travel. People don't realize that outbound travel really in India is only a 20-year-old industry. It was only in the late 90s where the government of India had foreign exchange reserves, and they relaxed that. and then from $500 that an individual could take every 3 years, you can take $2,000 per person every year. That changed the game, and then from a fragmented, disorganized sector, the large boys got into outbound because now it was structured and had a legal framework to the money being spent abroad in foreign exchange. Keeping that in mind, if you look at the whole travel industry in India, you know, at one time the disorganized sector was 91, 92%. The organized sector was about 7, 8%. That's before, you know, online and all the other OTAs and that trend started. Now, in India, apart from everything else, one has to keep in mind that there were two big changes that happened recently. One is the GST, which has now formalized the taxation process on holidays, and demonetization, where people would have holidays in cash, that dried up. So this has further led to a flight from the disorganized sector to the organized sector. So having made the point, the opportunity lies in travel now in the organized sector. And in the organized sector in India, what we've observed is that really in the tour operating space, there are only really two large companies that are technically on a pan-India basis, large tour operators with their own subset of companies. India has close to 20 million outbound, expected to grow to 50 million in the next 8 to 9 years. So before I pass on, I don't want to dominate the microphone, but I coined what I call the 3 C's. So for anybody who wants to ride the India outbound wave, countries need to line up the first C, which is connectivity, because from India, you can't travel by road, sea, or transport to any of these countries. The second C that's very important, which has changed a lot from my time when we started out, is consular services. Without visas, you can't go, but a lot of countries have seen the enticing value of Indian tourists. They have now relaxed all their visas. Some are visa-free, some are visa on arrival. And the difficult so-called countries like Schengen and the Americas, Canada, etc., have also really streamlined their services. And finally, the last C is a sign of India's strength, which is communication. Communication is aligned largely with national tourist boards. They come and they then co-partner in promoting their countries with large tour operators, and like build out the aspiration where if people need to travel, why should they go to their country, and why go now when there's so much clutter, where 100 tourism boards are saying, please come and visit us, whereas Indians really go for one international holiday or maybe 1.5 if you take a short haul one.
I think I heard quite some good news for tour operating in this. However, I will skip this and we might come back to that later. Let's move on with the opportunities.
I always think the challenge comes with the opportunity. So I will address 3 challenges from my own point of view so that we can discuss further of the opportunity. So the first challenge for, let's say from a hotelier perspective, which is the OTA penetrate all the market. They penetrate more to more segments from the leisure travel to business travelers, from online to offline, even from let's say if we say the rates from bar rates to wholesaler rates, right? This is the situation because all the OTAs, they want to get the market share, so they will penetrate all possible segments. So this is the first challenge. For the second challenge, I think is the revenue is squeezed by channels. Let's say if the channel have a very big portion of your business, that means they will ask for lower price as well as they will ask for higher commission. So the revenue will squeeze by the channels already. And also the third one will be the high cost of your direct sale versus the low performance of your direct sale. So these are three challenges which from a hotelier perspective in current stage. So firstly, I just raise up these three challenges so we can discuss further during the whole panel.
So I think Mr. Anand has described the outbound growth. So I'll come straight to the hotel landscape into the B2B space. So I can tell you a shift what I've seen in the last 5 years. Hotels are very keen now to contract with B2B companies such as us directly because one, they find ROI faster. They believe there is more tangibility when they actually in convergence because, end of the day, we are powering the travel agent and the travel agent, if it gets the right inventory, the education. So we have a brand called TBO Academy, which is on the portal, for example, which actually gives you a 360 degrees view, let's say for Jumeirah, and let the traveler educate himself on how to sell Jumeirah. And that is the reason why these hotels are very happy to pay us marketing fees, where they're able to convert these bookings versus going to a large OTA, searching, like you said, 47 searches and so on. So the return on investment is much faster. The hotels are happier. And they want to shift away from the large aggregators, like what you mentioned, the hotel beds and so on. And if you have a large share and a commitment which you can give them, they're more than happy because one, nobody can ignore India for the next 10 years, as Mr. Anand said. So that's the opportunity. Plus, they want to be away from the, I would say, the insane discounting or the cash burn which happens in the large OTAs in India. So they are very, very skeptical about it, unhappy about it. And I think that has been displayed when today the other OTAs were kind of boycotted by few states in India. And I can actually see and shift back to the B2B world in the last 45 days. Our numbers have grown up 35% only on domestic hotels, which is not our core competency, just because of the discounting.
Thank you. You mentioned investment, and I must say prior to this session, I had a bilateral where someone asked me, well, this is a tech stage, so very curious to hear about latest tech trends and so on, and I had to roll back a little bit because that's not exactly our topic. However, having said that, I mean, tech does play a role. I'm aware it doesn't play an equal role in all of your businesses, but I feel from that conversation obliged to at least address the question. So what's your view on the role of tech and what's hype and what's there to stay?
Well, there's no doubt that technology will be the only platform going forward in a few years' time. But having said that, it's about content. And in India, let me speak about, again, I'll speak about outbound, because what people need is that, in India, the hybrid model of online and offline is the one that seems to be successful. The reason is that you can't get your visas online, you can't buy large foreign exchange online, you can't buy a lot of these services. So then automatically you need where there was this new phrase got coined, ROPO, research online, purchase offline. But, so my take is that, of course, technology is the future. What we're dealing with is large OTAs, where my colleagues growing up, our parents taught us, son, you go take a loan from the bank, buy a lot of goods in wholesale at a cheap price and sell at an expensive rate in retail. Today the model is upside down. Today you buy in retail at an expensive price and you sell in wholesale at a cheap price, and you don't need banks anymore. You have investors coming to give you a lot of money. So keeping that in mind, where that inflection point will come, where someday, somewhere, people have to make profits in technology. I think 99 out of 100 players won't even be left standing. So technology has a huge place. Sadly, we were speaking earlier, we see the disruption. I've been in the industry for 25 years. If there were, out of 20 companies that were dominant in the 90s, maybe there are only 2 or 3 in business today. So yes, technology has had a huge role. There's consolidation. There's a lot of that taking place. But then keeping all that in mind, technology is the future. People who will know what to ride in that are the ones who will survive and thrive. But for that, you need deep pockets, and you will need to withstand global threats and opportunities.
Thank you. From a hotelier perspective, I believe the SaaS-based freemium software or solution will change the industry. The reason why is you can see actually it's quite popular for other industry and even for end users to use those SaaS-based software, which is maybe is free for your lifetime or it's a freemium. If you want to use a higher function, maybe you top up such a money to use such solution. But you see in hotel industry, it's another story. So all the hotelier, they only know they must pay for CRS, they must pay for PMS, they must pay for CRM, that's all. They do not open their mind to accept more free system, free software. Actually, for now, it's a good time because there are a lot of free software online. Hoteliers should open their mind to see the new trends and how to fulfill their customer needs by this freemium solution. Yeah.
I wavered my question. Just go ahead.
So I think, you know, when we launched Travel Boutique Online in 2005, we were actually an offline company adopting technology. I think in the last 4 or 5 years, our tagline has changed, saying technology inspiring travel. So I think technology has come a long way in the last 7 or 8 years. I meet many travel friends in shows like this. The expectations have gone way high what it was there 5 years. I think the time has now come for big data, AI, machine learning, which now TBO is already building as we speak. Getting a hotel ticket or hotel or a room and getting an air is something which is very simple now. The idea is how can you optimize more revenue now through these new technologies, I think is the next step or the next wave. But getting just hotel results in 2012 was like magic, right? When I was at Sate or at OTM, wow, right? But today I think that's beyond these things. The people are asking more. For example, the first company which goes online on cruises now is going to be our company because cruises is something has been sold always offline. And hotels are getting more involved because hotels technology is still very obsolete, in my opinion, you know, with channel managers, unlike the Amadeus or a Galileo or like an Navitaire. So hotels that way are very happy on things which we teach them, but I think they will take time to actually adopt technology to fast-growing companies like us or large OTAs across the world.
That sounds to me like a very pragmatic and also sensible approach to tech. If I mirror on this the hype discussions, the usual suspects of blockchain and so on, usually SaaS, where I also agree that plays quite a role, those technologies don't make it to the hype topics. So what about the hype topics then? Are they overhyped and it should be back to the basics? Is that what you're saying? Well, both of you, following up on your question.
As a technology company, I have to say I didn't start a lot about the blockchain, but I foresee blockchain can help those giant players to increase their efficiency. But I don't see blockchain can change the industry entirely because the travel industry is very special. You must have the service provider. You have the middleman because the middleman have their value, and you have the end user. Okay, from my own perspective, I don't think blockchain can change all the industry. Yeah.
I couldn't hear you.
So, shall we give it a try to continue despite the noise? Shall we continue despite the noise? I think we give it a shot. Yeah. No, that was just to follow up on the tech part. But then reflecting on what you mentioned before, being around in the business 25 years, not too many companies that seem to be thriving in the 90s are still around. I think there's something like that. What you mentioned.
Are not around.
are not around anymore. So going forward, is it fair to take from that that it's not necessarily the giants that will dominate the game going forward? Or so will we see new business models coming up, or is it all in Expedia's, Booking's hands, and it's just consolidation moving on?
I think there'll be a lot of consolidation. I think that there will be large tour operators in India. You must understand that every market has unique characteristics. In India, people travel, they need to eat Indian food. Not only do they need to eat Indian food, 70 to 75% are vegetarian. So automatically packaging becomes a very, very important part for the international holiday market in India. Will that change? Yes, there will be millennials, there will be young couples, there will be, but being such a huge country, packaging in India through, of course, everything is going to be tech-based, but there will be the large tour operators will really dominate the long-haul holiday space where there are complications, there are itineraries, because finally, apart from the food criteria, English speaking is also very, very important, and very few countries are English speaking. And thirdly, everybody who travels, there's that old saying in Ghostbusters, when you're in trouble, who are you going to call? You can't call a machine, you can't call, so, in that space, there is a huge market, but that's for the big tour operators on a pan-India basis who can consolidate, because what people don't realize is that 75% of outbound travel really happens in the school holidays and the summers between March and June. I mean, can you get visas? All your countries' embassies and consul generals have limited staff. They're not in a place to burden that. So it's the large boys with reputation, credibility on the visa front who have an advantage, because they pre-vet and they've built a reputation and credibility. And now vis-a-vis, augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, for just booking vanilla products, just air in a hotel, I think the OTAs are in a bloody war where who knows who's going to be left standing. But that's a business that really has disrupted our entire travel agency, because when people have researched online and they come to book offline, they have all the numbers and statistics and price packages at their point. So the person selling offline really has a challenge on how do you make money.
I personally think if the travel companies today have owned their customer, when I say own, meaning that if they have that cloud with them, buying an inventory today at the right price is not the problem. Owning the customer is the challenge. It is a time of consolidation, and I keep saying this in a lot of my panel discussions. There are 4 positions now which have been taken, and it's been very clear. So you have the large 2-3 TMCs, you have the large 2-3 As, companies such as Cox & Kings, then you have the large 2-3 B2Bs, and the large couple of OTAs. If a new idea is coming, a great company is being building, which is niche, it's a great chance that they will be acquired. Because the time now is build versus buy, or buy threat. I think that is what has happened in the last 6 months. The amount of acquisitions which have happened in India is just because of the size, if somebody is trying to build, or something very different, versus do we buy or build. I think that's a simple phenomena. But I think consolidation is the way forward. But owning the customer is super important. And I can tell you one thing. It's been 15 years since we've been in the business now. I have not seen travel agents shut. What Mr. Anand was saying, probably larger companies who used to participate here. But if I have the small, medium travel companies today, they're still surviving because they become smart enough to buy the right inventory, whether it's airline, hotels, whatever it might be, servicing their customer, and the customer at the end of the day needs the right deal, needs that great service, and they're still surviving because of depending on companies like us. And we are more than happy to continue empowering them, both with, in a tech-enabled platform with the right travel products.
With this competition on owning the customer and having access to the customer, if you then turn the table, what would be your advice to hotels? How to stay relevant? I hope it's okay that you've got the mic.
Yeah, sure. Before I answer this question, I want to add more. regarding to their question. So from a hotelier perspective, I work for both airline and hotels before to do revenue management. So we always talking about the right channel, right price, right time, right person, blah, 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 right? But currently, we should face a different situation, which is all the rate structure is based on previous situation, which means in the past, we use online, offline, is different channels, different segmentation. But now, actually, all the channels, they cross together. You will see all your wholesaler rate will go to online, right? So this is a situation we must face. It's a good time for us to review our hotel rate structure now. Yeah, this is additional to the previous one. And to address the question about how to stay with your customer, I believe the first thing, you have a very good opportunity now because currently the mobile, the internet is very popular to everyone, not only to millionaires, but every single travelers. So the first thing you must do is you must stay active on your social media. Whatever is your product, is your content, your photos, all the happy moment with your guests, everything you must stay active on social media. Because with our research, all the travelers, what the journey will be, they search online, maybe on OTA to get the hotel information. After that, they will select some hotels as options. They will go to TripAdvisor to see all the reviews, good reviews, bad reviews. After they confirm the hotel, they will go to the OTA to make a reservation. Then they will do more research about this property and the surroundings. They will know what kind of service the hotel is providing and what kind of the best food or best activities they're providing. So they will go to social media again to see all these things, and they will approach hotel through the social media. If they have any question, they will just throw a message to you. So please stay active on social media first. The second one is you better to build up connection with your guests, not only upon check-in, but also pre-arrival. So by providing your customized service, then you can connect you can connect with your guests. The last one, I think for the hotels, you must be remembering, which is hotel is not just provide accommodation, but actually you are part of the guest experience. So please do create more wow moment to your guests. We can see a lot of wow moment on social media, which is the guest was really excited and really inspired by the wow moment. So they are willing to share all these things with their guests, their friends, all their networks. So this also help your hotel to be outstanding compared to your competitors. So these are 3 points from my own point of view.
Thank you. Any more advice on the hotels? Advice on the hotels on how to stay relevant?
You know, technology has kind of made hotels, they were always a bit impersonal, I thought. And my only advice to the hotels is also to engage with the trade, and in the quest for a direct relationship with the client. What they don't realize is that enablers in the trade can also be huge influence on hotels' occupancies and bottom lines.
Okay, fair.
One basic point, I think parity in the pricing, I think is super important. I know large chains such as Accor or Hilton's, do maintain that. But when you move from these large hotel chains, I think the parity in the pricing in the B2C as well as B2B, as well as the direct, as Mr. Anand said, I think is something which is super critical, for them to get their best relationships and to monetize that rather than cutting off, and creating confusion in the market. Yeah. And this discounting which happens with large OTAs, it's not that they are giving them the discounts, it's the VC fund which is being burned, but you should be controlling that. You meaning the hotel should be controlling that.
I would like to enter a final round before we open up for Q&A, as we also get a bit pressed on time. If you look at the month ahead, what are for you the most underwatched, if you like, topics? So what are the topics that will somehow have the chance to take us by surprise in this industry in the coming month, in the coming year?
Okay, actually, to come back to my first answer, the challenge. So actually, these are the opportunities. The first one, I believe, is the subsidiary revenue. Is much more important both in airline industry and hotel industry. For hotelier, not only look at your room revenue at all, cannot say at all, but you cannot build more rooms to increase your room revenue, but you have chance to look more revenue streaming. As a hotelier, everybody know we look at the RevPAR, revenue per available room. But for now, actually, it's a good chance to look at revenue per available guest. Okay, this is the first one. I think maybe later I pass the mic to you.
I think artificial intelligence, machine learning, something will happen significantly, something which will shake the world, at least in India. Now, who's that somebody is, I still don't know. But there's a lot of work going on at our end, for example, and some other companies, I'm sure. I think will be the next game changer, I would say, going forward in 2019. You know, I mean, this discounting, parity is part of the game. But the new thing which I think will be coming up will be the AI or the machine learning. I mean, it's super important. You know, I think you can manage your revenues better. If we manage our revenues better, we can definitely pass on to our partners who will probably make more money and handling those customers.
So we've heard a lot about AI, but what you're saying is there's still much to come.
Absolutely. I mean, I think nobody's thinking about it. So somebody has to think, and I'm sure some couple of companies will come back end of this H2, I would say. Yeah.
I'll take a different track since I'm more also like B2C. The coming months, our biggest challenge is going to be geopolitical instability. It's going to be Indian customers going abroad, not knowing what's going to happen post-Brexit for our European clients. In terms of the trade, I think the challenge will continue to be for small players to be able to make profits and so retain talent at an attractive price. My advice to small agencies is that please stick to a niche, become masters of that one particular knowledge base, drill deep and keep yourself relevant. I said this 10 years ago, if you're a 5-man operation, you have a better chance of success than most others, or you need to be a 100+ operation linked to technology. In terms of disruption, you know, artificial intelligence, marrying technology to product, content, data, all these are unseen challenges. I don't think anybody can look at that crystal ball, but there are definitely challenges in our trade, but the main challenge is going to be how do companies retain profitability.
Okay, I think we will keep it like this for now. A couple more questions, but we can take that offline. Rather leave the chance for the audience for any questions. Oh, yes.
Hi, my name is Sandeep. So I want to touch upon more on the parity issue that you brought up. When it comes to online distribution, we still see there's a lot of parity in terms of whether the amount of business you get from Make My Trip or a small agency, the rate the hotel gives, there's a lot of parity. But when it comes to offline distribution, when you are pre-purchasing, when you are doing a wholesale rate contracting, there's absolute lack of transparency on how the rates are given. You think at a macro level this is the right thing, this should continue to happen, or it is feasible to bring some transparency and parity in offline distribution of rates?
So I don't blame the hotels if they give those departures, because at the end of the day the hotel is chasing a cash flow. And if somebody is ready to commit, let's say whatever amount, and if the hotel is giving that deep discount, I think it's absolutely fair. right? But as long as it is not being published as a naked price or a dry sale, I think a hotel has a fair point to manage their cash flows if they can sell the inventory much earlier. As long as it is not being discounted, I think that's a fair deal. So I don't know what transparency are we discussing, but from a hotel point of view, I think they're absolutely fair if somebody putting cash on the table.
But let me tell you that you could put cash on the table. You think in a particular period you bought inventory at a good price, and you go online and there are 3 other people selling the same hotel at a cheaper price than you. So good luck on that.
There was another question. The mic's coming. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm Jesna. I'm from MyStay as well. So adding to the point, it's a derivative question that Mr. Anand mentioned that, it's all in today's, customers' fingertips that they are getting all in their hand. It becomes a challenge for the offline operators. So apart from, marketing themselves, why don't we market research? Like, why don't we find what is our customer need and then get into this disruption?
There's no real straight answer to that. Let me tell you, acquiring a customer, owning a customer, dealing with a customer, let me tell you what's going to happen is that finally when a customer calls anybody, that person is going to charge that customer a fee for giving them knowledge and information, saying that if you book with me, I will cut that in the final package. But at the end of the day, in India, the biggest challenge is non-productive handling of inquiries, itineraries, etc. So as if you were to even ask other people for quotations, they'll stop giving it to you. And if you think that without having prior knowledge as an entrepreneur, you can package it together, A plus B plus C does not add up to 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Let me assure you that. So it's not a straight line. There is no straight line.
So you're saying that hoteliers will have a problem if we listen to customers, is it?
Hoteliers, don't ever forget, and I keep telling this to everybody, a hotel inventory, the owner of a hotel has spent $100 million. A travel agent sits with a phone and a laptop. Ultimately, there will always be a mismatch between those two segments. The challenge here is that the online agencies, the big booking engines, have created a situation where hotels are not getting the relevant yields. They are being forced now to go directly and build their brand equity by owning the client and customer, to come to them and give them a price by ensuring that if you want to stay at Taj Bombay, nothing will be cheaper than the Taj, the website saying that this price. Where people will play with is on value additions. So the hotels ultimately, my view is, they will own the customers by having their own connect. That's why there's consolidation. So, they will own their customers with value additions, and it will be at the cost of the distribution channel that's existing.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? If not, then let's wrap it up. Thank you very much to the panelists. Thank you very much to the audience, and then we can still follow up offline. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joerg. We appreciate your moderation. I hope we made some relevant points to such a patient audience. Thank you.
May we please have a round of applause for the panel discussion. Thank you so much.